The Good Nurse takes viewers into a medical horror, and some shocking facts in the book were entirely left out from the show, but these differences will expose it all. Charlie's rough childhood. In the Netflix show, Charlie's childhood was barely talked about, and it wasn't shown to the viewers at all. The only thing close to Charlie's past that was talked about was his mother's passing and the previous hospitals he worked at before coming to Parkfield Memorial Hospital. So this is a big difference between the show and the book, because the book was very detailed and hinted about the things he had dealt with, while the show only presented Charlie without background knowledge of how he grew up or turned out to be the way he is. According to the book by Charles Graeber, Charlie was born in 1960 and is the youngest of 8 children that his working parents had. His father, who was 56 years of age when Charlie was born, passed away a few months after his birth. Because he was the youngest, he was closer to his mother than the rest of his siblings. And for this, his older sisters physically and emotionally mishandled him, and they did this with the help of their boyfriends, which made Charlie feel so lonely and odd. So, at the tender age of 9, Charlie attempted to get rid of himself and end it all by drinking chemicals that were in a chemistry lab. His mother's passing. After Charlie committed his first crime at Parkfield Memorial Hospital, he mentioned how his mother passed to his friend Amy Lochran. He said this while they were about cleaning up the body of Anna Martinez, one of the many patients that Charlie cut off with the use of insulin. Charlie said his mother went cold while in a hospital bed, and that the way she was left uncovered in the room was a sad scene in his head for a long time, which is why he cherishes cleaning and taking care of patients who just passed. While this sounded like the reason Charlie might be causing trouble in the hospital, it wasn't true based on how the book pointed it out. Charlie wasn't present when his mother passed on, as it was through a car accident and he was only 17 at the time. The experience was a sad one for Charlie because the hospital didn't hold him in high regard, as they notified him about his mother's demise when it was too late. This part of the book reads, Charlie felt that they'd lied to him at Mountainside Hospital, a crime he would come to believe was characteristic of hospitals in general, and one that he would never forgive. Even though the story in the show is slightly different, there are suggestions it could be the motive behind his crimes, because it affected him so much that he even had to drop out of high school. Charlie was in the Navy. All viewers knew about Charlie was that he was a nurse, the only profession he was into before his arrest, as the film portrayed. But this is very different from what's written in the book, and even though Charlie has worked in more than 8 hospitals during his nursing career, he wasn't always a nurse. The book, that focuses on Charlie's past, states that he started in a career entirely different from the medical field. It would interest you to know that Charlie once joined the US Navy after he couldn't finish high school, and his motives when joining were very clear. Charlie wanted to live a life of purpose, and right in his service, he encountered another big problem that looked exactly like what he grew up with when he was younger. His seniors in the US Navy frustrated his life and were always tormenting him, just like his sisters did when he was growing up. But that wasn't all, because his colleagues who were recruited at the same time as Charlie all picked on him and used him for entertainment. So right in the Navy, Charlie attempted to end his life again, which would be the second time he would be trying that. The troubles he faced constantly threw him off, and he ended up getting admitted multiple times to the Navy's psychiatric hospital before being given a medical discharge from the Navy finally in 1984. Charlie's messy divorce. Charlie often spoke about his wife, whom he divorced, and his 2 daughters, with his friend Amy in the Netflix show. And while this might be true to an extent, there's still a big difference from what's written in the book. Charlie was truly married, and he had issues with his wife's dog, just like it was in the show, but Charlie might have left out even bigger details in trying not to look bad to Amy. Charlie met his ex-wife Adrienne Taub after he left the Navy and enrolled in Mountainside Hospital School of Nursing in Montclair, New Jersey. And within a year, they married, and they had a daughter called Shauna. Things were going well for a while between them before Adrienne started to notice how troubled Charlie was. Adrienne uncovered Charlie's careless attitude with their daughter when he drank heavily while the young child watched. In the book, it was also reported that Charlie burned Shauna's school books for no reason. Then he physically hurt the dog in the book. But in the show, Charlie only mentioned he didn't like the dog and joked about it with Amy. Around this time, when Charlie was becoming a suspect in every hospital where he worked, and he was getting new jobs as soon as he got fired from the old one. So his wife at the time, who felt like she had had enough of Charlie, divorced him, which led Charlie to move into a basement apartment. Their divorce was messy, unlike how Charlie gently talked about it in the show. Adrienne had to get a restraining order on Charlie to keep him away from herself, and that was when Charlie did it again. He tried taking his own life for the 3rd time. This 3rd attempt led him to spending a few days at Greystone Psychiatric Hospital, so it's a big wonder that Netflix never referred to his mental illness and how his marriage failed because it's a huge part of the story. Charlie had a motive. Getting answers from Charlie was a huge one in the show. He was so persistent on not talking till Amy used her influence as a friend on him because she couldn't understand how someone that comes off as kind could do those terrible things he did. Amy's support eventually led Charlie to confess that he did them all, but without any reason or motive behind it, so viewers never got that satisfaction from the show. However, it's different in the book. Charlie wasn't clear in his motive either, but he mentioned one that wasn't very accepted. In the confession made by Charlie, according to the book, he wrote on how he kind of could be and mentioned that he committed those crimes out of passion for the suffering patients. And he continued by saying he was only doing them and the community a favor by ensuring that they don't get dehumanized by the hospital staff. Charlie supported this motive written in the book in a short interview, and he said, "I thought that people weren't suffering anymore, so in a sense I thought I was helping. You know, what I did, there is no justification. I think the only thing I can say is that I felt overwhelmed at the time. I don't know if I would have stopped." If Charlie kept talking about this particular motive, it's surprising how Netflix decided to leave that out for the viewers because it makes a big difference. But that could be because the motive wasn't well agreed with, because most of the patients he took their lives were almost recovering, and Charlie's way of putting them out of their pain sounded like a silly excuse. He saved a life. After Charlie's arrest, he confessed to a few of his crimes. Still, it was estimated that he got rid of over 400 patients, which made him the most dangerous serial offender in the world. But there's one tiny little difference about Charlie that Netflix left out. Of course, they showed how he was so kind enough to steal medications for Amy and help with her kids, and work to ease off the workload on her, but he kind of did something even bigger for someone else. The book by Graeber didn't end without touching on one good thing close to saving a life that Charlie did. It pointed out that Charlie donated one of his kidneys to save the brother of an ex-girlfriend. This difference might not be that surprising to viewers because it looked like Charlie was the type who could offer up an organ to save a friend, judging by how he stood by Amy when she had her heart troubles. However, it's still a big and confusing thing that Charlie could save a life after ending so many. Amy's heart issues. In the film, viewers can see how Amy constantly dealt with heart issues that made her always tired, especially when lifting patients. And she couldn't do much about it because she had no health insurance. So Amy kept it a secret till she would be able to access proper healthcare without losing her job. And she hoped to get a heart transplant as soon as she got on the list due to her cardiomyopathy. But this is what separates this part of the film from the book. According to the book, Amy had heart problems that could cause her to faint or get tired just as easily. And also, it was a big secret she was willing to keep so as not to lose her job, because Graeber described the job as the best in Amy's 15 years of a nursing career. However, Amy's disease wasn't so advanced that she would need a transplant as the show portrayed. And it wasn't something that could scare her kids into losing her forever, because it could be cured with medications. So, which of these differences do you find the most exciting? Share your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.